describing it. But I can only figure out that the reason why nobody is interested in the lot when I've seen custom houses and condos going up is because it doesn't have a view. The places where I'm seeing these $1 million houses going up, they all have a fantastic view. There are two of them right here in the neighborhood. It's over on the water side of the neighborhood, and there's a stone house, custom. You can tell it's custom design. That one's got to be $1.5 million. And then there's a more traditional-looking box house that's over on one end of Washington Street, and that has a view of the entire Port Townsend Bay and the Olympic Mountains range to the in the distance. So anyway, as for me, nope. I'm here in my tiny little apartment. Good thing I lived on sailboats all those years, Rich. Otherwise, I don't know if I would be comfortable here. But as for me, I consider it kind of a challenge. You know, Thoreau built a cabin for himself that was less than 250 square feet, and I consider that a real standard to aim for. Mine is about 200 square feet, but it has a kitchenette. It has a regular kind of bathroom, although it doesn't have a tub. It just has a shower stall. It has storage, and it's quite comfortable for me. So, of course, I'm not going to invite a lady friend over here. She's probably going to go, boy, you must be poor as hell. I'm out of here. KD6SW, K6RQR.
Now, K6RQR, KD6SW. You say you lived on a sailboat there for a while. I used to hear a guy all the time down at Morro Bay. That wouldn't have been you, was it?
No, I'm sorry. I was a little off frequency. I looked at the dial and it said 145.1. Sorry about that. Didn't even notice. I was looking off and staring off into space, as anybody who knows me will tell you happens a lot. No, but I lived on sailboats for many years in Sausalito. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to hear a guy all the time down there in Morro Bay, and he'd be tied up to a buoy there just a few hundred yards off the shore, and he'd stay there for quite a while and move on. And I don't know whatever happened to a lot of these people. You know, you hear them for a while, and pretty soon they're gone. I guess maybe he got out of the radio or something. Anyway, yeah, I don't have a big place here either. I got 800 square feet. It gets a bit crowded when you got a lot of junk in it, you know, like I was telling Dick quite a few times there that I don't have any more room in my Radio Shack for any more stuff. So, you know, something has to go in order to replace or have some room to put something else in, and I don't want to stack anything up too high because living in California, you don't know if you're going to end up wearing this stuff after an earthquake. And I have the heavier equipment sitting on a cut-down coffee table that sits on top of this other table. It looks pretty nice, though, but it's only at eye level, so, you know, any higher than that, forget it. Oh, yeah, well, if you got the money, Bruce, you got what you want, you know. I'm just glad I didn't get into overspending too much stuff. You know, I guess when you're into the cash, into the chips, a good job and all that, you end up overbuying stuff. That house I had in San Jose was not the top of the line. It was 2,100 square feet on top of a hill, and it was a good location. And when I bought the place, it was brand new. Nobody else lived in it. And there was a vacant lot on the downhill side from where I was. And it was pretty good for a couple of years. And then all of a sudden somebody decided that they wanted to build their dream house there. And I thought, well, okay, you know, the lot was down far enough to where I thought if they just build a regular house, I can look over the roof and I can still see, you know, the San Jose and San Francisco and such from my living room. But forget it. No, the guy had to go ahead and build one of those English Tudor houses that has two stories and plus a super high peaked roof. So in other words, forget the view. And while the guy was building it, I went over and asked him about it. I wasn't too happy about the whole thing. Nothing I can do about it. I says, how tall is your house going to be here? Oh, no, it's not going to be a problem. You'll be able to look right over the top of it. Yeah, right, sure. Anyway, after I got the thing built and everything, heck, I kind of avoided him for years after that. And then finally we got to talking again, and But, you know, that was the kind of the pits, you know, that the house that he built was pretty nice. Like I say, 2-story with a high-peaked roof, and he probably had enough room up in the roof section there to build another floor. Mine was just a split-level house, so if I had more money, I probably could have bought myself another floor to put on top of my house. I could still continue to look over it, but I'm glad I left there. You know, I looked now at the satellite pictures of the area down there, and it doesn't look anything like it was when I left. It was a dead-end road that belonged. It was a county island, so there was no regulations about antenna structures or anything. So I just went in and made myself at home, and didn't have anybody breathing down my neck. It was a nice view, and on the weekends I'd take my kids and my dog and cats for a walk up the hill a little further, up the ridge there. There used to be the county communication site, just up the path there a few hundred yards. They had a nice power pole still sitting there that the antennas used to be on, Bruce, and I thought, you know, I got to get that thing. I had grandiose plans of going up there, and because you know, it wasn't doing anything. They had already taken the antennas down and moved all the transmitters and everything off of it. I thought, yeah, I can get up there and maybe hire somebody to drag the thing down the ridge here a little ways and stick it in my backyard. Well, about the time I was ready to put the whole plan into operation, somebody else took it. I took the dog for a walk up the road there, and all I see is drag marks coming down where the pole used to was. But well, I had a good time up there. You know, there wasn't anybody else up there. It was great. But now they had leveled that area out up there, and they built some kind of a academy, a school academy of some sort up there, and they had a big fence around the whole thing. So I wouldn't go back down there in a bit. Yeah, boy, I tell you what, the traffic situation in the gulch down there was definitely something to be dealt with. They had where the interchange was between Highway 101 and 680, 280 interchange down there. He used to get stuck in that mess there because everybody wanted to transition off to another freeway or something like that, and I ended up giving it the nickname of calling it the colloidal block. And but you know, people picked up on that. I don't know if they still call it that, but I thought, yeah, well, and if I go down there and hear that term being used now, oh yeah, I'm down here at the colloidal block, I can say, yep, I come up with that one. Well, just be glad we got out of the mess. You're up in a good area there too, I guess. I'm not familiar with your locale. The only part of Washington I've been in was up over on the east side, right there in the border up alongside of Idaho. Up there around Moscow, Idaho on one side, and then Coeur d'Alene and such. It was wide open farming country out there, and it looked pretty nice. And I guess a good portion of Washington State is like the Oregon there. You get over on the east side of the hills, and it's kind of like desert. In fact, a friend of mine still lives up there. I don't know what frequency he operates on anymore, but I used to know him. He worked down there in the Silicon Gulch there too. He worked for underground utilities for General Telephone, I think it was. He'd had his own truck and everything. He goes to out to some of these new sites and install underground wiring for the telephone cables and such. Well, now he's all retired and everything. Bought himself a nice piece of property out there in Freda. Lives up on top of a ridge out there, a couple of 100-foot towers out there, but I don't know where the heck he is on the radio. One of these kind of guys, you know, you email him and you never hear back from him. Some people just don't do that. My old school buddy up in Alaska did the same thing. He's not a radio guy, but he owns an air business out there where he flies people out to remote locations to go fishing. I emailed that guy, and I hardly ever hear from him. I guess maybe they're trying to tell me something there, Bruce. Well, anyway, that's about it from here. I'll have a good weekend coming up. We got a nice what do you say? Corned beef and cabbage. Yeah, that's what we got going in the slow cooker today. Boy, that smells good coming out through the house here. I go outside and come back in again and get kind of hungry just smelling this stuff. So we got some corned beef cooking, and after that gets really cooked good enough, we'll throw the vegetables in, and it's chow down. So, K6RQR KD6SW. Go ahead.
All right, very good. KD6SW, K6RQR. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Anyway, yeah, well, if I ever move back to California, which doesn't seem very likely, it would definitely be up in the northern part. I'd probably want to go in more of the coastal area, just where it's cooler, especially